is the place where real dialogue matters.
Make some noise for that sound, man.
It is time to take flight with Audio Airstrike.
This is Audio Airstrike. I'm Everett Hall-McNeill. Thank you for joining us. This is episode 131. Now, I have an excellent guest with me at this time. He is a brother, he's a friend, but also to many people, he is a teacher, he is a preacher, he's also a hip-hop artist. He's also helped those who are less fortunate and meets people where they are. Ladies and gentlemen, to talk about ESPN's The Last Dance with me, Rainbow Israel is with us. Thank you for joining us, man.
Yeah. Thank you for having me, my brother. Peace to you. Finally, I made it on Audio Airstrike. Thank you, my friend.
Absolutely. You know I had to get you in there at some point.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're doing an awesome job, too, man. Yes, you are.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Well, we might as well get right down to it. So we're looking at this documentary. Everything just ended as of now. Fantastic way to go out and stuff of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start from the beginning. Michael Jordan comes over from the University of North Carolina into the Bulls. Phil Jackson comes over, and the changing of the guard starts to happen. Jerry Krause starts to piece together a bunch of different chess pieces to help out Jordan to go get a ring, his first ring. Now, that wouldn't happen until years later, once getting past the Pistons. So I have this one question to ask you, Rainbow. When you look at the attributes of what Jordan was able to do and work with, what are some of those adjectives that stuck out to you watching him as a fan back in the day?
Well, watching him as a fan, I couldn't really appreciate it as everybody else. You know, I really didn't appreciate it until watching the documentary, because it allowed me to get to see the backstory a little bit of Mike and how he would, deal with these cats doing practice and traveling and what have you. In real time when it was happening, you never witnessed that. You just witnessed what was on the court, and his first, 7 years before they won the championship, his first 7 years, he was all about, he had to show himself, let the NBA know I'm here, I'm Mike Jordan. But looking at the documentary, one of the attributes that lets you know that he really listened to what the public was saying about him, what the people were saying about him, that Mike can't win no championship until he changed his game. He's all about solo. And so, he went out to prove everybody wrong. So that was one attribute, that he was adaptable. He was willing to change for the betterment, because he realized, 7 years in, all I'm doing, his individuality couldn't get past the Pistons. And then that second attribute was faith, because, that determination that he had to bring everybody up to the level. It's like, I can't preach to you if I'm not doing something. So if he coming to the gym and he's putting his blood, sweat, and tears in, he demands everybody else do the same. As you heard him say in the documentary, if you can't come at this thing 110% like me, you can't be around me. B.J. Armstrong said it good. Unless you love basketball, you really couldn't appreciate Mike as a teammate, But, and so I took away the attributes of that self-determination to be the best, to win at all costs. Not nothing cheap or anything like that. Win at all costs, meaning you giving it your all, meaning you coming to the gym 5, 6 in the morning, you the last one to leave. That's what I mean by giving it your all. And then the faith to we're not going to lose. I mean, he had the amount of abundance of faith in himself, but he had the faith in his other teammates as well. As you saw with Paxson, be open, I'm going to shoot it to you. So, those two attributes, man, that resonates powerful with me.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Especially when you look at what Jordan was able to do and also his level of perfection. The reason why that he was so focused on perfection, because in crucial moments, if you don't focus on the little things, you're not going to get that chip. You're not going to get the stats. You're not going to get the production that you need. The little things are going to count later down the line where you're at when it's game 6 and there's 40 seconds left on the clock. Other people, if they didn't go through what Jordan went through, other people that didn't go through Jordan's coaching, if they were in that situation, and we've seen it currently in the NBA, they fold under pressure.
Yeah.
So when I turn around and when I look at the situation, and I'm looking at what Jordan was able to accomplish, what he was able to do, but also how he put faith in his teammates. He elevated everybody. A lot of people that are considered GOATs, and I will say this for as a sidebar, I hate the fact that the word GOAT is being thrown around so foolishly because people don't know what it really takes to get that GOAT DNA. And that's something that we really need to hone in on.
They need to keep it in the eras. You know what I mean? They need to keep it in certain eras, you know. Like right now in this era, you know what I mean, LeBron James is the GOAT.
Right.
You know, and in Jordan's era, he was the GOAT. Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, it was Magic Johnson, you know what I mean? Then Larry Bird, you know, and then the era before that, what was it, Wilt Chamberlain or something like that, Bill Russell and all them. So it needs to be broken down in eras if you want to put the greatest of all time in that era and then that era and then that era. I think it serves best that way.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that standpoint. And I think people are so enamored with, all right, there needs to be one GOAT. Who is it? If somebody said Jordan, nobody's going to argue it. And that's the beauty of, well, some people are going to argue because of generational stuff and they weren't around for certain things.
Exactly.
But a lot of the people who know sports in depth and also who are close by, the people who are from that vein are not going to really argue when people say Jordan was the best. It wasn't even like there were some people that made some noise, but Jordan was just on a totally different level. What he did from a standpoint for the African-American athlete, what he did from a standpoint of clothing, what he did from a standpoint of culture, that is something to uphold. Now, getting back to his rise, though, I also want to talk about the fact that his run-ins with the Pistons and the fact that he had to work his body up to endure the physicality that the Pistons were giving him. Because at that point, they had gotten a chip, had beaten Chicago several times, not allowing Jordan to really get to his first chance at a ring. Not until he had the run-in with not until he finally beat them and then went up against Magic and the Lakers later for his first ring. When he started talking about that, what were some of the things that you noticed as it pertains to his tenacity, what he was able to do, his focus? Because one thing that I noticed about that, and I think you noticed about this too, watching the documentary, the amount of adversity that he would use. I've never seen somebody use the slightest bit of shade or negative energy and turn that into massive amounts of fuel, of adversity to like fuel him to be greater. His focus of, oh, you did this to me? Oh, now I'm gonna prove this. Oh, I didn't get MVP? You giving it to Charles Barkley? Oh, now I'm gonna prove this. Oh, you guys are commenting on, the Pistons and stuff like this? Oh, I'm gonna show you what I could do. Oh, they didn't shake my hand? Oh, well, I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna put up like 40 points on you. That sort of thing. It
goes back to that faith thing in himself, man.
Right.
And you look at the documentary, you say it started at home, right? It started at home, man. And that family foundation, you believe in yourself, man. So he knew automatically that couldn't nobody deal with him. And one thing I noticed, he appreciated the way Detroit played him. Probably didn't at the time while he was going through it. You know what I mean? But it built him up and it made him ready. That's why he treated his teammates like that, because he knew crunch time, there's like regular season, yeah, it's going to be all right. But playoffs and championship runs, this is how they coming at you. And if you don't even train like me, if you ain't even in the gym like me, you ain't going to handle this. And this is pressure that will break you mentally.
Right.
You know what I mean? He had to build the physical. His mind was there all the time. So not only is he preparing the teammates physically by making sure they come to the gym and train like him, but he's trying to get them mentally too. That's why he was like, if you can't handle me in practice, you're not gonna be able to handle them. You know what I mean? You're not gonna be able to handle them in the championship and the playoff runs, man. So, looking at that, and everybody knows, man, Detroit was his making ground. It was his honing and his making ground. That's why when he was ready, they couldn't do nothing with him.
Right.
They were so embarrassed. They walked off earlier and then ducking. They didn't even want to shake the hand because he thoroughly beat them.
Right.
Now, that was fun to watch them, man. I mean, that was fun. I mean, Isaiah. And you got to go look at the article, the interview that Charles Oakley did with Chris Broussard. And he talked about, he said how Isaiah was the captain, right? Because if you listen to some of the interviews, Isaiah said, Bill Laimbeer said, hey, man, let's walk out on him like Boston did us. But Charles Oakley was like, no. Isaiah was the captain. So, he said, and it tells when he walked out, he was dipping like this behind Laimbeer. Poor sportsmanship, you know what I mean? And that just shows you the competitive nature and the true still sportsman of Mike. Every time he lost with Detroit, you see him at the end. He's shaking their hands. Mm-hmm. He's shaking their hands. But when he win, they flip out and going to talk about, well, Boston did that to us. You know what I mean? Go look at the tape. Nah, man, cut it out, man. The man, it's just such a great example, man, to look at. I'm going to put it like this. If you can't be inspired by anything else in life, that should be a motivational, inspirational docuseries that should light a fire up on it.
Right. Absolutely. Right. Absolutely. I definitely agree with that. Now, when it comes to Isaiah Thomas, and I want to touch on this briefly, do you think that his attitude led him to kind of being not selected for the Olympic team, the famous Dream Team in 1992?
Of course, it was. You study and you do your due diligence, and so we are. Everybody knows. It wasn't solely Michael's decision. Yeah, let's just be honest. And actually, Charles Oakley brought it out the other night. He said Chuck Daly was the coach, and he was Isaiah's coach. So if your coach don't fight for you, then what does that say?
Right.
If your own coach, because that was made up of coaches and peers. Nobody else, coaches and peers. So it had to be more than Michael Jordan. So that tells you right there, man. We on the outside looking in, a lot of us, but if you look at that, just like all-star voting and balloting and all that, a lot of times that comes from coaches and peers. The fans have a little bit to do with it on certain individual accolades, but that's mostly by coaches and peers. And they'll take into consideration the fans' votes. Well, it was the same way with that Dream Team. Coaches and peers. Michael Jordan just had one say. What about everybody else? So that tells you right there.
Right, because they did show clips of Isaiah Thomas getting into it with some of the most prolific guys on the court. And truth be told, there was rumors that he rubbed Magic Johnson the wrong way on the court, Larry Bird on the court. So you got like goats saying, no, I don't want to deal with that type of energy. Yeah. There's got to be something there.
Yeah. That's a tough break, though, in hindsight. I ain't going to make him out to be the total bad guy, but I'm going to say from a short man's point of view, think about it. It was on the court when he was going on. Now, I don't know if it was dirty play, you know what I mean, or what, but I don't understand what it was that could cause him not to, be perceived. But it was something. I don't know what it was. I wasn't there, but it definitely kept him off that Dream Team.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. I think also with that 1992 team, I think it was one of those things, especially if there's one game I wish I would have saw if I was old enough, was that practice
Man.
all those all-stars. I wish I was there for that. Just to sit in the stand and watch.
I want to see all the practices, man.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I'm not just that dream team. I want to see the regular Bulls practices during the championship run. And you notice Mike ain't want to show all that. So it was a lot more, you know what I mean, of him riding. And I mean, now, if we just saw that, we definitely probably would have, because, you know, Charles Oakley was talking about how he was, cussing at him, you know what I mean? Really, like, degrading him, you know what I mean? So, and of course, he wasn't going to let that out there, but they showed up one clip of the Dream Team had a practice where they let them college kids, the freshmen. You see that one?
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. But you talking about other practices prior to that, right?
I'm talking about where they had a scrimmage game, and it was a story about how Magic Johnson was kind of said, all right, I'm going to say this. I'm going to talk trash to Mike a little bit just to set him off. And then Michael went gorilla on everybody.
No, that was the one. That's the one.
That's the one? Okay.
Yeah, that was the one. And then they said it was the changing of a guard. He said after that, when they got on the bus, everything was quiet. Everybody was quiet. And then Magic Johnson broke the ice and said, well, I guess we know not to make the little young boy mad. And that broke the ice. And then from then on, they all just bonded. But it was Magic Johnson really realizing that, it's time to pass it on,
Right.
Your time is over with. You and Matt Bird is the new sheriff in town.
Right,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I also wanted to talk about, you can't talk about Michael Jordan without Scottie Pippen. And Jordan admitted that to his legacy on wax. So I wanted to talk with you, one, about how he was underpaid. Because he was grossly underpaid. And then I wanted to get your thoughts on his arrival, how he was grossly underpaid, and where management made the mistake of treating Scottie Pippen. I just want your thoughts on those things.
Well, I learned this from the documentary as well. A lot of kids, man, coming from college, man, a lot of their family members are riding on their success. And so, the way he was drafted, it wasn't like he was a real big name. Nobody knew. I never heard of Scottie Pippen until he got to the Bulls, So that deal at the time for him, you know what I mean? He was like, I don't know what tomorrow brings, so I can understand it. Now, what I would say is that, that franchise didn't value him. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, we got him for a steal. We're not going to pay him more. So that was sad. And I wish he would have, hung in there and kind of forced his way with the negotiations. But then that's a double-edged sword because you win. You know what I mean? You winning championships now, so you really ain't, But when he did go back and try to initiate, they treated him bad, And so that was kind of tough, Of course, that would make him anybody, especially after you won 3.
Right.
You won 3, and then Mike go, and then you Mike leave, and then you had a fiasco about you didn't want to go in because you felt you should have been there in crunch time. Then Mike come back, then you win that 4th one. Oh man, it's time to negotiate.
Yeah.
They could have negotiated. That's when I think he could have went hard. Now, if it would have been in these days, he'd easily got that money,
Right, absolutely.
Easily got that money. But, looking at their organization without going into it, man, they were cheap, man. If you think about it, they were cheap from what's his name?
Jerry Krause.
And Rhinestone. Yeah, man. They were cheapskates, man. You look at what Mike made. Mike only really had one big payday that last final year. Remember, he got $35 million for that one season.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So it just goes to show you about the organization, But Scottie Pippen, man, he definitely came into his own because, we didn't know what to think or to expect until he got on the court and started doing his thing. And it was great him being under Mike. You know what I mean? Mike bought that monster out of him. It took a while, It took a while, but Mike bought that monster out of him, man. And he was the perfect Robin to the Batman.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely agree with that. When I I will say this. Little things like that, it seemed like it was like a building point of resentment with the front office, especially making the move and saying during the final year, at the top of the final year, that this is Phil Jackson's last year. I think that was very. Let me say this: I've never owned a basketball league. I've never done that, obviously. However, you don't say something like that at the front of the year to a guy that has helped bring you that many rings as a coach, especially 6.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, you don't. That's total, man. That's total disrespect, man. I don't know if I don't know if that was in the documentary. Maybe it was in the beginning, because it was 10 of them. But I remember when he was saying that Krause had a short man complex. And when you look at him, you know what I mean? He just looks like a little dirty nerd or somebody. And I don't know how he got in that position, but, you know, the mentality, I mean, even from him to the owner, why would you tear something that's not broke?
Right.
At least give them the right to defend the throne, like Mike said. You know, let somebody take them down first before, you know.
Right.
I mean, give them credit, man. That was a lot of pressure. Some teams would have folded. You know?
Absolutely.
Some teams would have folded.
And truth be told, if Mike didn't go to baseball, and if they had a chance to get 7, he might have had just as many rings as Bill Russell. If we really want to be honest.
Bill Russell got 11 though, right?
He got I think it's 10 or 11.
Bill Russell got 11, man. I don't want to take it off, but see, and that's another thing. You're talking about the greatest of all time, and then you got to based on how you categorize it. Are you going championship wise? But we understand Michael had a global impact on a lot of things. That's why they consider him the greatest. But championship wise, I mean, Robert Horry has more rings than Mike. Robert has 7.
True, but we talk about play wise, you know.
Yeah,
I get it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's why I was saying, you know, all those acronyms we want to give people, you know what I mean? So like we were talking about earlier with the GOAT, we definitely have to.
There's got to be a criteria.
Yeah, you have to put it in that era. You know what I'm saying? Right. And then say, okay, well, he's the greatest because he did X, Y, and Z. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He changed. Like you have to put. I mean, like culture-wise, you got to put AI in there, and he hadn't even won a ring, but he changed the culture for real. With what you see now, that's Allen Iverson. The cornrows, the baggy joints, the tattoos. That's all AI. You know what I mean? Right. Made them enforce a dress code. Because of him, they outlawed the crossover at one point. So, yeah. So, but I'm just saying, you know, going back to that. But getting back to we were talking about Scotty and the team. That just goes to show, man, that Michael was better to Chicago's organization than the organization was better to that whole team.
That's true. That is very true.
Wow. That just came right. You know what I mean? You think about that, Everett. You were I never even considered Chicago Bulls until he got there.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, this man takes this, and we talking about Scotty because they put his contract out there, but we ain't never said nothing about Jordan. Jordan was way underpaid than Scotty was. He made his money off endorsements.
Off the Jordan brand.
Exactly. So that highlighted how terrible that Chicago organization was, man.
So let me put this thought out there for a second. Let me put this thought out there to you. I'm sitting over here, I'm looking at this Bulls team. They bring in Horace Grant for a time. They bring in Steve Kerr. They bring in pieces. We know about Scotty. We know about Michael. And we're going to get to Rodman as well. But I want to kind of give spotlight to some of these other guys. Who did you feel like was the third or fourth hand that meant something to that team? It could be Steve Kerr. It could be whoever we mentioned, Horace Grant at one point. Who is the one person that stuck out to you as the fourth guy that was like, when it was time, he was on? Paxson is another one, you know.
Well, see, it wasn't as hard. I can't give them that third one like Clay, right? I'm using the Warriors for example. I can't give nobody that third person because they never stayed there long enough. You know what I mean? They never stayed there long enough. Like, you know, they might was there a year or two, and then they got traded. They was there a year or two or whatever, then they got traded. But to me, the one who made the most all of them won championships. So to me, they all were great in their roles. No one stood out. Like BJ didn't stand out more than Kerr. What's the other guy?
Paxson, Horace Grant.
No, the other one, Harper. Now I have to give it. And early on, it was Ron Harper. I had to give him that. Yeah, in the beginnings when it was Ron Harper. Yes, Ron Harper, because Ron Harper was that third person besides Pippen that came through before they got Horace Grant, before they got BJ, before they got Kerr, right? Ron Harper was the man, but then he got a little older, I guess, or whatever. Something happened, and they had to phase him out. And so I would give to me, it would be Ron Harper first in his role. Then I would go to BJ in his role, then Kerr in his role. But to me, the one who had the most profound role as the third man was Rodman.
Yep.
Of course, we know we segueing into that. Rodman, man, hey, man, that was my guy, man. When I'm talking about, because, you know, you already knew what you was getting from Mike, right? You knew what you was getting from Mike. Scotty was coming in. Scotty was there. And then you knew they needed another person, right, in order for them to get them over the hump. And see, I remember it clearly. He was in San Antonio, man. He was, you know, on his way out because his antics was just, they were just too big for, you know what I mean, Popovich, San Antonio.
Right.
So
Popovich wasn't having that.
No, wasn't having that. So when he became available, it was like, boy, if Chicago get Rodman and they can calm him down, it's a wrap. Because, you know, couldn't nobody do nothing on the boards with him, man. Nobody. And he energized a bunny, man, from start to finish. Now, as we saw in the documentary, those tactics that, I mean, come on, man. You're in the middle of a playoff run. I need a vacation.
I need to take a vacation quick.
But no, look, first vote have been 48 hours. It turned into a week. Man, come on, man.
Now, you know, if anybody else did that, we'd be like, yo, get your $5 behind off the team now.
Hey, but that, you know what? Looking at it now, that was attested to how awesome his game was and how valuable he was to that team. And it goes to the genius in Michael and Phil Jackson of, understanding that. And you know what, man? I switched, just taking it from an evangelistic standpoint, from a preacher standpoint, from a pastor's point of view. That's how God deals with us, bro. They didn't lean on him, you know what I mean? They didn't try to break him down. It's like, you need to get this off. Go ahead.
Right.
Because when he came back, whenever he comes back, he's 110% on the court. He's definitely going to give you his all. Now, was it easy to go? I bet you them boys was pulling their hands out like, what the? You know, we can't even take a vacation. But then again, we not Dennis Rodman.
Right, absolutely. It's one of them situations because when you look at what he's able to do from a defense perspective, then his rebounding was insane. Because the scheme was he would get the rebounds, give it back to his team, and when it came to defense, he would help Jordan with defense. And I mean just harass people, but in a good way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, in a bad way, too. Good way, in a bad way. Remember, he gets in your head.
Right.
That's what he did with Detroit. He learned early on, and he just nagged you and persists you. I think that's where Patrick Beverly gets it from.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know, he just gets in your head, and he, like you said, he continues to crash the board, and he was quick with the outlet. You know what I mean? He would lead a fast break, too. So, as soon as he crashed that board, boom, he looking for the outlet. So not only was he great in crashing the boards, he was a defensive monster that really nobody want to deal with. Nobody. That's what made it so intriguing of them acquiring him. Because they was like, we don't want to face him.
Right.
We don't want to face this guy. You know what I mean? Let's see, can we get him, man? And that was the perfect plug. I mean, everybody played their role. And how many did Dennis win with them? 1 or 2? I forgot already.
I think it's 3.
He won 3. He was there all 3 years.
96 to 98. Yeah, I think it's 3.
Yeah, he won 3, man. Yeah, man. I tell you, bro, that was look, I know you got the questions, but I want to just throw this out there, man. Everybody always talking about this team against that team, this team from our era would have went against that team from that era.
Right.
I don't think no team from this era would be able to beat them. You know why? Because this team, you barely touch them now. A foul is being called.
Right. That's true. That is very true.
So they couldn't play back then in that physical realm. You know what I mean? They had to be mentally sharp, man. So I don't think that team would have been able to do nothing because they haven't faced that triangle. Remember, the triangle didn't need no big center man down low to beat you. That's what happened when Kobe and Shaq got filled. That triangle, man. That triangle. So that triangle, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you set it up like San Antonio with a fundamental big man like Dave Robinson and Tim Duncan, and then have the rest of the shooters. That triangle still will beat that.
Right.
So that was definitely. I tell you, man, that Last Dance was for us basketball enthusiasts. That's the reason for this podcast tonight. It was great, man. Now I'm ready to just go binge it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you might as well. When you look at everything that you love about sports is in this documentary, from the behind the scenes to what's going on up until the recap of the grit and the grind, and from the time preseason starts all the way to the regular season, all the way to playoffs, into the finals, you get an account of everybody's mindset, what was going on, what was happening, the key players involved, even crucial plays, even in-depth crucial plays. And the crazy thing about it is, for example, flu game. Flu game wasn't even a flu game. It was food poisoning.
Food poisoning. Yeah, see that? Yeah, it was food poisoning, man. Now, I question you think it was intentional?
I find it very interesting that you only need one person to deliver a pizza. They said that it was like a group of people because they knew Jordan was in that room. All
right, so look, so these pizza guys, so obviously these not basketball. I'm gonna play two sides. Mm-hmm. Maybe I'm gonna play it this way. They say that city, Utah, they notorious for, for trying to harm their opponents, right? But just say, for example, that pizza probably was sitting out all day, right, or whatever, and the pizza delivery, because think about it, nothing else was open, so he normally doesn't even get that.
Right.
That's the last thing. Everything else was closed. He don't get no pizza, but he was hungry. He normally get room service or something like that, some upper echelon food. So he had to resort to get pizza. That probably was the last thing there. And they just sitting out all day, right? Whatever. And then the reason why I was fired, because it was like, oh, yo, Michael Jordan ordered this. We can go get a glimpse. come on, man. If I was working there, wouldn't you have rolled too?
Hey, I ain't gonna lie. I would have gotten the car.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's a possibility that they had no idea that because if it's really poison them, I'm not going with you, bro.
Right.
If it's really poison and I know I did this, I'm not going to the hotel.
Because that makes you an assistant to the crime.
Exactly. But I just think that they were like, oh, yo, Michael Jordan. Yeah, he playing the Utah Jazz, but that's a bad boy. Come on, let's go see if we can see him. And they didn't get into the point that they probably asked for autograph. They probably, you know what I mean? They didn't put that out there, but
right.
That's what I possibly think. And then again, on the flip side, who knows? I don't know, but I try to look at all angles of it. The key that stood out for me was nothing else was open at that time of night. And the only thing stay open is, you know what I mean, pizza joints.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, and so you know how that's not that healthy. You know what I mean? It's not very cleansy. It's very unsanitary if you ever been in one. Right. So yeah.
Yeah, so it's one of them things, and I'll be honest, to see him fight through that and still put up the amount of stats that he was putting up was nuts. Imagine if he was healthy.
Man, that made everybody look. I remember after that, tell me, you better not call out sick. You better not call out sick on a job after Mike did that, man. I mean, oh my gosh, man, I watched the game. Did you watch it? Can you remember?
I watched I didn't watch the flu game. I think I watched the last game.
Oh man, see, back then when that run was going on, you watched every game. I remember watching that flu game. And they didn't put a lot of parts in there because I'm talking about like sometimes when they called timeouts, man, they would show, you could see on the sideline, Michael Jordan had his head halfway down in between his legs with a towel over his head. Mm-hmm. I mean, did you hear what I said? Can you visualize that? Just imagine me bent over like this all the way, and I put my head in between my knees, and I have a towel over me, and then Scotty holding my back like, boy, come on. Right. This is during a timeout, and then as soon as the whistle blow, he come right back up out of there. Right. Man, if that wasn't a testament to winning, man, personal drive and persistence, man, and pushing back the pain, whew, I don't know what it is. You can see where Kobe got it from, can't you?
Oh, he asked. That was the only toughest part about watching this docuseries was watching him just be inspired by Michael, always asking questions. Because obviously he's not here with us anymore. Yeah. And I can't believe I'm saying that in 2020, considering how young Kobe was.
I know.
Yeah, it's still a little bit surreal saying that. But one of the things that I noticed, man, watching that was it wasn't a passing of the torch officially at that moment, but it was definitely a sign of things to come. Because here was a guy that was willing to learn everything there is to learn about Michael, not only reduplicate it, but get some of that DNA and implement that into his own game in a way that up until Jordan, we weren't seeing like that. We weren't even seeing a glimpse. So to see Kobe tap into that early on and ask him questions, like literally as they're playing, like, yo, how'd you do this? Like, hey, I just want to learn. Like a humble pupil, like a humble student. I just want to learn. I'll shut up and I'll listen. Not many people in this era are doing that. Will shut up and just listen.
Right.
So that was pretty cool to see.
Yeah, that was really good. And like you said, man, it's so real. Not even. I mean, speaking of referencing Kobe in the past tense, man, that's tough, man. That's tough. That's tough. That was the embodiment of Jordan, though. The total embodiment. Total embodiment, man. From the trash talking and then practicing to the 110% on the court to relentless pursuit of perfection, total discipline, dedication to the craft, leaving it all on the court, man. That was the top, man.
Right. And pretty much the GOAT of the 2000s, meeting the GOAT of the 90s.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah, he got 5 of them. He got 5.
Right.
Got 5, a 3-peat, and then 2 more, man. Hey.
Right. Can't be mad at that.
Yeah.
Definitely. Rest in peace, Kobe.
Yes, indeed. He trained by the best, man. Trained by the best.
Definitely. Absolutely.
So let me ask you a question. So, do you feel that Jordan's warranty, his loyalty was warranted the way he responded to the organization when they gave him that ultimatum?
Remind me what the ultimatum was, and then that can answer that. Then I answer the question a lot better.
I shouldn't. Well, you know what? I shouldn't have said ultimatum. I'm sorry. I should have said when he gave him that last statement that I don't care if you win 82 games, you will not be the coach next season.
So this is how I feel about it, man.
Now, do you think Mike was right in how he responded?
I think he was right. I'm going to be honest. You got a guy that literally is partly responsible for the success. You treat him with the utmost respect. That's just that's like the equivalent to the Spurs saying that about Popovich. That's like the exact equivalent. Because Popovich is a winning coach, just like Phil Jackson is. The styles are different, but it's that same tier. So you have to give a certain level of respect. You can't sit over there and say, I don't care if you win 82 games, you're not being the coach. You're basically telling me, F you, I'm fired regardless. That's basically what you're saying, to be quite frank. That's basically what you're saying. So there has to be a level of respect. There has to be a level of decency. You shouldn't say, no matter how many games you win, you're going to be fired or this and that. Jordan has every right to be like, well, if you're going to treat him like that, there's no point in me staying here because my game is partly elevated because of his teachings. So if you're going to treat him like that, there's no point in putting my body through the wear and tear that it's going through if you don't have the best interest within what we have built. So if I was Jordan and that was the case, yeah, I'd go into a retirement after that. Yeah, I'd leave.
And see, that's what I was looking for when you said, but I don't say partly I'm Jordan. I'm saying Jordan's saying it 100%.
Right.
It's because of Phil Jackson that I'm where I am. You know what I mean? Right. And that's why he said what he said. Well, if he go, I'm gone. I ain't playing for another coach because no other coach can bring out the best in Mike like Phil.
Right.
And Phil proved it when he went to L.A. Remember, Shaq and Kobe wasn't winning until Phil got there.
Right.
Yeah, so, that's what I was looking for, man, Of course, I was saying that he was totally right. You know what I mean? He was totally right. And then how dare you? Like you said, how dare you? How dare you? And then you hear them on The Last Dance, the actual owner, going to talk about in the 11th hour. He said, all right, Phil, come on, man. Ain't nobody buying that.
Yeah.
Come on, Phil, you can come on back and coach them. Nah. They try to clean up. It's too late for that.
It's too late. When you can't say to somebody, like after you win and everything like that. See, success changes people for good or bad. So when you say, okay, I think let's recant what we said. You basically told this guy the whole game. It doesn't matter what he does. You're not going to be the coach next year. You have said that throughout the season. Why are you not keeping the same energy the second he gets you another ring for your organization? Are you kidding me? That's two-faced. It's untrustworthy. It's disrespectful. And if I'm going through that, I can't trust you guys anymore. The trust is gone.
Gone. Way out the window, buddy. Gone.
Right. And when people, let me tell you something. And when people show their true colors and act two-faced, or they throw you out the pasture, from a business standpoint, that trust is gone. Trust me, I know. It's happened to me. You don't trust that. You don't trust them people anymore. You don't want enough to deal with them anymore. From a business perspective, just because of how bad just because of how the switch up was.
Yeah.
Like, how can I trust you after this? How can I even say, hey, how you doing?
It's very hard, bro. It's very hard. Very hard.
Right. It's difficult.
Actually, it ain't. You can't. Ain't no. I'm gonna rephrase that. Ain't no. It's gonna be very hard. You can't trust them.
Right.
You can't. They done shown their hand.
Right.
You know, you're nothing to them. It's like, okay. It's like they said, okay, we tired of winning. All right, that's enough.
Right.
That's
Basically.
enough. That's enough. We good. Y'all can go ahead on. And that's crazy, man. Not in that sport. Well, in any sport, rather. How you want to stop winning?
That's what I'm saying. If I'm sitting over here, if I'm winning, if let's say I'm the owner of, let's switch up a team that we both know. Let's say I'm the owner of the Ravens. You think I'm going to, if we went back-to-back rings and this and that and kept going, you think I'm going to stop that? No, keep it going. I don't care how much it costs.
Oh, no, now, the Ravens did. They started out, they did Trent Dilfer like that. They won the Super Bowl and they got rid of him, and then they suffered for what, 6-7 years? Till they got, who was that? Who was after that? Was it Flacco out the Dilfer? No, it was somebody else.
Steve McNair.
Steve McNair. First it was Elvis Garbage. Then it was Steve McNair. Then it was Flacco, right?
Wasn't Kyle Bowler like a starter for like a flash?
It was a bowler. That's right, Kyle Bowler for a minute. But I'm saying, see, the Ravens, they notorious for that too. This guy, first of all, you start off the season 0-6. Then he just runs the table after that through the playoffs, win you the Super Bowl, but you get rid of him because you feel he wasn't playing the style of play you wanted to play. It won you a Super Bowl. That's because of Brian Billick. He's from Minnesota. Oh, I want Elvis Gerbach because that flying, attack that did not work.
Right.
That's the same principle. That's the, we won, but that ain't the way we want to win. In Chicago's case, they just ain't want to win no more, period.
Right. And they kept, and the one thing that bothered me, right, they kept having their eyes on different players instead of focus on the ones that were there.
Exactly.
Like Kukoc turned out to be good in the end, but boy, when they first got exposed, when Krause was kind of bigging him up.
Yeah.
Jordan was like, okay. Jordan and Pippen were like, okay, we're gonna make an example out of this guy. Because this is your boy now, apparently. We're gonna make an example out of him. All for everybody else to be like, dang, I felt bad for Kukoc that night.
Hey, but that next game when they played him, he showed up though.
Yeah, he definitely showed
up. Like he said, he didn't think they was gonna come at him like that. He didn't know what was going on. You know what I mean?
Right. He didn't have a clue.
He didn't know, and he turned. But that's Jerry Krause though. Look at that. We getting the inside mind of how this guy view him. And you even heard when they was celebrating one time, he gonna come out and say, "It's a great organization." Yeah, the players, but this is a great organization. He thinking the organization doing it. That's why Mike had to come out on him like, y'all ain't on the court playing though.
Right.
We the one out here winning these championships so the organization can look good.
Right. So,
that guy, man, he was the cause of the whole demise, bro. And the owner couldn't even read through that. If I'm the owner of the Bulls, Krause, you gotta go, man. Or sit down somewhere. We ain't breaking up nothing. Right. You know what I mean? You was tight with him. I'm like, all right, Krause, sit down. No, we not breaking up nothing. I'm sorry, Phil. Yeah, he said that if I was the owner, no, you right. Until somebody dethrone y'all, keep it going.
Right.
That's basically all you had to do. But I will say this though. I don't know. We all saying that they probably could have had those 2 rings, You know, and everybody says that, but you never know, man. You gotta remember, that's a grueling. You having no breaks at all, though, man. You know what I mean? And I think he wanted that break, man. He was tired. You can't, you put basketball all season, then the Olympics, then training camp. You ain't really got no rest, no break. Then you playing an 82-game season, physical season. You know what I mean? He might have lost one of them in between just because they were tired. You know what I mean? But that year off, them 2 years off, whew, that's a break, man. They give you a break. I'm trying to think. Was there somebody else that did that? LeBron, did he have, how much time did he have? He didn't have no break, did he?
Well, I know they had the strike at one point, but that I don't know if you consider that a break.
Yeah, not like
when
that.
They had the lockout.
Yeah, that's why. If you notice, some of the players, man, they'll forego the Olympics, or some of them will pass on it. Some like the major stars back in the day, they would pass on it, man, because they want that downtime.
Right.
And then if you training hard like Mike, you practicing hard like, you know what I mean? The average person could probably keep doing it, but this guy, as soon as the season over, you going training, no breaks. I'm not saying that they couldn't win, but I don't really know if they could have ran off 8 or 10 in a row. It's possible. You know what I mean? It's possible. But if he'd have lost one in there, you never know. I don't know. But the way he played, you know what I mean? And the way he had that team ready, it kind of looked pretty good that he could have won too. But like you say, that's something we'll never know.
Yeah, it's something we'll never know. I mean, it's one of them situations where it could have been very interesting considering the following year was a shortened season. So they could have had more time to like really gear up and really defend the title. But
you're right. Yeah.
So when I look at the whole situation as a whole, I really think they should have they would have made the money back. Just pay the guys to stay for another year until somebody dethrones them. They would have made the money back. You guys already tripled your money as a franchise.
And you selling out. You selling out every night. Everywhere you go, you selling out. So what's the problem?
Right. And you're the only team. This was the only team that I noticed that if you were from a totally different state and you said you were a Bulls fan, nobody would be mad at you. We'd be like, we understand why you a Bulls fan. We get it. We can't even be mad at you.
Right.
This ain't like somebody's a Patriots fan and they look at you like, oh, you bandwagon fan and this and that. And, this is something totally different.
Right.
This is like because everybody understands that this is true greatness. There's no asterisks to it. This is true greatness. So that's one of the biggest reasons why when people look at it and people look at, if somebody was to say, well, I was a Bulls fan back in the day, I'd be like, well, I could see why.
Right.
Right. So, it's one of them things where this was a great documentary. Great to review it. Great to get insight on everything. And this was something to behold, man. What were your thoughts on that documentary?
Man, I loved it, bro. Like I said, it took me back, man. It took me back. I had set my battery was running low, so
no problems, no worries.
I had to restructure. Man, like I said before, man, it was great, man, to just relive that whole thing, It was great. Like I said, I'm ready to binge it now.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So
I'm ready to binge it.
Yeah, definitely. For those of you who have not seen it, it is available. It will be available on ESPN in some form or fashion. I know they've been putting it out on syndication on television. I know that an encore possibly will be coming up. And if all else, you can catch it on an app somewhere to check it out in its entirety. With that being said, man, I wanted to wrap it up, but I didn't want to wrap it up without giving you the floor and giving you a shout out and letting you talk about if you got anything coming up, any projects going on that you got coming up or anything that you're working in the community with. Feel free the floor is yours. You can, make your announcements about it, Rainbow.
Well, I appreciate it. We have a a food distribution giveaway tomorrow. Tomorrow is Friday from 10 to 1 a.m. And that is on West Belvedere Avenue off of Ricestown Road. Actually, Speak to My Heart Ministries. Pastor Dwayne Johnson. I'm sorry, I don't even have the address in front of me. It's in my phone, which I'm using right now. But if you know where Speak to My Heart Ministries, it's right there on next to the Family Dollar. It's right there in the parking lot. The We Out Us movement, that's our men's movement group. You know, we always go around. We were gaining momentum prior to the COVID-19. You know, we were walking to all the dangerous communities, north, east, south, and west. Man, we have a bunch of resources from anywhere from record expungements to drug treatments to job opportunity trainings, everything that you need. We even take you off the street if you want to get into treatment right then and there. As far as projects is concerned, you and I, my friend, as Audio Strike, Audio Airstrike artist, you guys didn't know, you know Everett is a videographer, and he does a couple of my videos. Our video we was going to shoot for the We Out Us song that I created was postponed. So, you know, that's in the works, and a couple other videos that I have coming up for a new single called Joy. I'm just sitting and waiting. You know me, I'm real strategic when I put my music out, man. So, you know, I just kind of wait, and I want to kind of see how this thing is playing out, which will allow me to determine how I have to bring my visuals. You understand me? So I'm like you, you know, and I thank you for, you know, we talked it up. We was like, nah, let's not do a lyric video with that. That movement is too powerful. Let's wait. Because eventually we're going to get back out there. It's just a matter of when. And so for the projects that I do have coming up, I'm just sitting and holding on to them right now to determine, because they really need some great visuals, not stuff that we have to do via Zoom or, you know, the way we are communicating now. So other than that, that's it, man. But other than that, man, you know, I'm plotting and scheming, man, trying to figure out my next move like you. I'm thinking
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Hey, and you motivated me, man. I'm thinking about doing a Life or Death TV myself, man. I'm just trying to figure out how it's going to look. You know, what my foundation, what my format's going to be. What am I going to do? What I want to talk about? Everybody is doing it, so I don't want to just come in there and doing the same thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it takes me a little bit longer to strategically plot out. So when you come to it, I want you to be like waiting, like next week, like when is the next one coming? You know, so
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man. Well, I definitely am. I'm always have been, and that's the thing about the backstory about us, man. We've always been supporters of each other.
Yes, definitely.
Not just from a business perspective, but also from a friendship perspective. Me and Rainbow can sit down and talk about doggone near anything. So one of the things that I do appreciate about Rainbow is the level of brotherhood and friendship that he's given me over the years, and I don't take it for granted. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to have him on this one for a special episode, because how we talk like this is how we talk all the time. So, you know, this is kind of like a kickback. Just you guys are getting a glimpse on the inside, on the outside looking in. So it's one of the things where I always appreciate him. He always appreciates me, and that's something that'll never change, man. You know
that's
what I mean?
Right. Yep. That's right. No
Absolutely.
doubt. No doubt. Always love, fam. Like I said, I appreciate you, man. I'm definitely enjoying your podcast, man. You know, you awesome. You just so awesome and talented, man. You know, I think I might need to start training under you, man. You know.
I mean, I'm willing to give the game up. So just, I mean, you can always ask me a question, man. I have no problems answering it.
And you know, I do. I asked a little certain stuff, but now I'm gonna start asking some more, man, because I need to learn some more stuff, man.
Yeah, absolutely, no problem. Definitely, man. So with that being said, this has been another edition of Audio Airstrike. Guys, make sure for those of you who are listening to this, subscribe to us on all podcast platforms, Apple, iHeartRadio, wherever you can find us at on a podcast platform. Please make sure that you subscribe to Audio Airstrike. For those of you who are watching this on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to Audio Airstrike on YouTube for all the visual versions of this podcast. Well, with that being said, This has been another edition of Audio Airstrike. Rainbow, thank you so much for coming in. We definitely appreciate it.
Yes, no doubt. Thank you, man. All the love. And also, you can check me out on all social media outlets. That's Rainbow Israel on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Life or Death Records on YouTube as well. And I am rainbowisrael.com. That's the website.
Yep, absolutely. With that being said, until next, everybody, we will see you once again.
Peace.
Take care. Stay safe.